Thank you for seeing me. I've been having the same bad dream every night for the past 8 months. It's exhausting. I can't sleep. I can't focus. Starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. I drove here from out of state because I heard you're the best there is at dealing with dreams and nightmares. I'm really hoping you can help me make it stop.
Can you describe the dream for me?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing I remember, I'm back in the house I grew up in. It's late on Christmas Eve, and I'm spying on Santa Claus as he's getting ready to leave us toys. My dad used to dress up as Santa every year and put all our presents under the tree. My little brother and I would sneak out of our rooms and spy on him. I always was a bit scared we'd get caught, but this time it's different. It isn't my dad, it's the real Santa Claus, so I'm way more scared than normal. For some reason, I'm watching him through some kind of glass or screen, so I feel a little safer. I know how silly that sounds, but it's a dream, so none of it makes any sense. So I'm hiding there, watching Santa do his thing when I feel a chill come over me. Suddenly I hear a bear wrestling in the bushes. I don't know why there's bushes inside my house, but again, it's a dream. And this startles me. Santa hears it too and starts looking around for it, like frantically, like it scares him even more than it does me. Then the worst part happens. Santa and we spot the bear at the same time, and I get completely overwhelmed with terror. Seeing the bear scares me more than anything ever has or ever should. And I wake up, like, just so agitated that my heart is racing and I can't go back to sleep. It is always the same dream. I don't know why I'm having it. I just want it to stop.
Let's start connecting some of the dots with what you've told me. I'll explain how this works. I've made a list of all the topics you mentioned in your dream. For example, you mentioned both fear and your father. If I ask you about these together, I want you to tell me whatever comes to your mind first. It might be a time when you were afraid of your father, or a fear he had that you remember, or even someone you know who was very afraid of your father. The key here is to speak freely about what you feel has the strongest connection in your mind. If other topics come up while we're talking, I'll add those to our list. This approach will help peel back the layers of your dream. By exploring these connections, we aim to uncover what your subconscious might be trying to communicate. Through this technique, we'll gradually get to the root of these nightmares. Eventually, that will lead us to insights we need, and you can start sleeping peacefully again.
All right, so picture this. Me, a little kid, peeking around the corner on Christmas Eve, watching my dad dress up as Santa. He's got the whole getup, red suit, white beard, the works, and he's putting out presents, acting like he has no idea I'm spying on him. And I'm just there, just trying to stifle giggles and totally buying into all the magic of it. But now I just look back and I wonder, like, why do parents have to go to such lengths to deceive their kids? It's just like wild, right? The whole charade just to believe in this mythical guy who breaks into houses to leave gifts. It's like, what's the end game here? To preserve some fleeting sense of wonder? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's them wanting to relive a piece of their own childhood magic through us. I mean, anyway, the whole thing eventually crumbles when you find Dad's Santa suit stored in the closet next to a vacuum. Looking back, yeah, I had a few childhood fears that really stuck with me. One of the big ones was the dark. Classic, right? I'd lie in bed, staring at the shadows, convinced that monsters were lurking just out of sight. My dad got me this nightlight shaped like a spaceship, and it helped a bit, but no, I'd still pull the covers over my head, thinking they were a magical shield or something. Oh, another one of my weirdest fears was quicksand. Yeah, I blame cartoons and older TV shows for that one. They kind of made it seem like surviving quicksand was this essential life skill everyone needed. Like you could just stumble into a pit of quicksand any day. No, I was genuinely worried that I'd run into quicksand on the playground or something. I was never really afraid of my dad. He wasn't one of those stereotypical scary dads you see in movies or hear about from friends. He was more like this, big comforting presence. A few of my friends talked about their dads like they were scary. Oh, my college roommate was always nervous around hers. But not the way you might think. He was actually pretty nice. It wasn't fear of him as a person. I think she was just obsessed with earning his approval. Yeah, she cared, probably to an unhealthy degree, about what he thought of her. It always felt a little out of character because she was so pragmatic about everything else. But then again, I think he might have been pretty rich, so maybe part of it was about not wanting to get cut off or left out of the will. When I think of friends and toys, I immediately think of my friends who are really into Funko Pops. They have these huge collections with shelves dedicated to all their favorite characters. And I'm not really into that stuff myself, but I did camp out with a friend outside a store once so they could get an extra one. There were like two releasing on the same day, but the store had a limit of one pop per person. It wasn't exactly my idea of fun, but I was helping a friend out. When I was growing up, I didn't really think my father had any friends. I had a ton of uncles, so I thought he came from a really big family. It wasn't until I was older that I realized it was just a common thing in our area for parents to refer to their friends as aunt or uncle when talking to their kids. It got pretty confusing. Apparently, a lot of parents in my area did that for some reason. I remember in first grade, everyone at school thought they were cousins with about a third of the class because of it. It's one of those weird lies parents tell their kids. I never understood why that's so common. Like, why did it end up being tradition to miseducate your kids in a very specific way when they're young? Like, what's the point of lying to your kids about Santa or the Tooth Fairy? I just don't get it. When you're a kid, your friend options are basically limited to whoever in your class or whoever lives next to you. That is it. You don't get to be picky. If someone happens to like the same things you do, that's your friend now. Doesn't matter if they're annoying, if you have nothing else in common, shared interests, that's all it took. For me, it was sci-fi and video games. If another kid liked Star Trek or happened to be playing the same video game I was, yeah, that was enough. We were friends, at least until the next school year. All my friends are the ones I play games with online. Even the ones I met in real life end up being online friends because, they're gamers too. Yeah, the biggest downside? I end up playing a lot of bad games. You want to play the same games as your friends, right? But that means every time a few of them pick up the same game, the rest of us have to check it out too. And just some of them are just awful. Every now and then I just like to find some little single player indie game I can relax with just to have some me time. Something low key where I don't have to deal with anyone else's nonsense or explain why I'm terrible at whatever new meta we're all supposed to be into. I don't know. Just me, my controller, and a game that doesn't make me want to throw it out the window. Yeah, it feels good to escape the madness and just chill for a bit. I wonder how the whole Santa mythos works for kids these days. The only toys kids want anymore are video games, but like these days, nobody buys games on discs. They just download them. How does Santa keep busy? I mean, what's he doing all year? I guess when a new console comes out, he's got his work cut out for him, but other years, what's he gonna do? Back in the day, Santa had to lug around actual toys, bikes, action figures, all that stuff, and now it's like, hey, Santa, can you deliver this download code for Among Us? What's he gonna do? Send an email? Where's the magic in that? So yeah, it's gotta be weird for the guy. Maybe it's just kicking back, hoping kids start wanting something he can actually put his sleigh in use for again. I don't know. All right, so I've got this weird fear, right? Like those MC Escher like things that can't really happen. The endless staircases, the impossible architecture, all that trippy stuff. It freaks me out. I can't handle it. So naturally, this makes it hard for me to finish a lot of games. I'll just be cruising along, having a great time, and then bam, I'm in some bizarre, twisted world where up is down, left is right. I'm out. I'm done. It's like my brain just goes, nope, we are not doing this. I mean, I can deal with zombies, aliens, even the occasional psycho clown, but throw in an endless staircase or a room that defies the laws of physics, I'm out. It's ridiculous, right? But hey, we all have our things. I just wish mine wasn't in so many video games. I used to love toys as a kid, but now they just don't appeal to me anymore. It's not just because I'm an adult. I almost resent the whole concept for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming cranky as I get older. Yeah. Oh, this one's a classic. So we were all out in the yard one summer having a barbecue. it was one of those perfect nights, warm, clear sky, everyone's laughing, having a great time. Suddenly, my dad's face goes pale and he shouts, "Everybody into the house, now!" We all froze for a second, and then we started scrambling for the door. He was like yelling something about a bear in the yard. And the adrenaline kicked in, and we all rushed into the house, locking the door behind us. My heart was like, it was pounding, thinking we just narrowly escaped a bear attack. It turns out what he thought was a bear was actually this big dog. It was a huge dog, but I don't know. The tension broke. We all burst out laughing. My dad tried to play it off, saying, "Oh yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry." But no, we didn't let him off the hook. Yeah, we busted him for it for weeks afterwards. Yeah, I am kind of afraid of bears. I mean, who wouldn't be? They're these massive, powerful creatures that could just swipe you away with one paw. I remember seeing a bear up close once at a zoo, even behind the glass. It was intimidating. Hear all these stories about people encountering bears in the wild, and they're always terrifying. So yeah, I'm definitely a little wary of bears, but no more than anyone else. I had a teddy bear when I was very young. His name was Mr. Fuzzy. He was a soft brown bear with a red bow tie, and I took care of him like he was my child. I would tuck him into bed with me every night, make sure he was comfortable, and even talk to him about my day. He went everywhere with me. Car rides, family trips. My dad is actually a bigger gamer than I am. I know you wouldn't expect it because he's older and all that, but he's always been into the latest tech. I grew up watching him get super excited about every new console release and every new gadget that comes out. The funny thing is, we don't even like the same games genres. He's into all these intense shooters and strategy games, while I'm over here like just loving my RPGs and my indie games. But we usually find something we can both stand so we can play together online. Yeah. It's wild how it feels more natural to talk to someone on the headset plugged into a controller than on a phone. When I think of friends and bears, I can't help but recall how anytime any of my friends or I saw some rustling in the bushes, our first thought was always that it could be a bear. Bears were just ingrained into us as a symbol of unknown danger from the time we were kids. Our school would cancel outdoor recess anytime someone saw the slightest movement in the woods, even though there was at most a 1% chance it was actually a bear. It was almost a reflex that anything moved in the bushes had to be a bear. And in reality, I've never once seen a bear in real life outside of a zoo. When I think of friends and fear, I always remember something I learned in school. Over half of all solved murders are committed by someone the victim knew, usually a friend or someone who used to be one. And that's hard to forget once you hear it. At first, it sounds kind of scary, like maybe you should be suspicious of everyone you're close to. But Really, it's just about proximity. People usually get hurt by someone in their own circle. Not because their friends are secretly out to get them, but because those are the people that are around the most. More time together means more chances for something to go wrong. I loved video games as a kid. They were my escape, my way to dive into another world and just forget about everything else. Now, as an adult, I still love video games, but my taste in games has definitely changed. I don't have the time or patience to learn new games all the time. I just find one or two games to settle into and play for years on end. Usually it's whatever my friends are playing. Yeah. Oh, gaming and bears? Yeah, I immediately think of the teddies from Conker's Bad Fur Day. Those brutal, creepy stuffed bears are something. They're not your typical cuddly teddy bears. These guys are armed to the teeth, and they have a real taste for blood. A huge chunk of that game is based on the squirrels' brutal, violent war with the teddies. It's kind of jarring seeing those fuzzy little bears headshotting squirrels with a scoped pistol or lighting a room full of squirrels on fire with a flamethrower. Yeah, that was not the kind of bear in my dream, though. Actually, hold on a second. Thinking back, there is something. It's just like this feeling, but there was something about the bear in my dream that kind of reminds me of one of those teddies. It was not one of them, but there was something like off about the bear. It's just not a normal bear. It was something about it that was closer to a teddy from Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't know. I think, I don't know if this is helpful or not. My dad was always a great dad. He was also pretty nerdy, which made growing up with him a lot of fun in its own unique way. We always had the latest game consoles and gadgets in the house. He loved technology, and he was always excited to share it with us. He wasn't the type of dad who could fix a car himself or take me fishing. In fact, no, I remember one time when we had a flat tire and the two of us spent an hour trying to change it before giving up and just calling roadside assistance. But, yeah, that's fine. Being able to change a tire isn't what makes someone a good dad. My dad definitely had some toys of his own. He was a big fan of TV and movies and was especially obsessed with the original Star Trek series. He even owned several props from the show, including Leonard Nimoy's tricorder and Walter Koenig's phaser. Those props were like sacred artifacts in our home. He always said we couldn't touch them because they were collector's items, but I knew they were really just Dad's very expensive toys. My younger brother Tommy always tried to talk me into letting him play with them whenever we were left at home alone. I started telling him it was too dangerous because they were real and actually worked. He was only 5, so he believed me. It's funny. I always kind of resented it when my parents told me that kind of lie, but as soon as I was left in charge of my brother, I did the same thing to him. I'm a little disappointed in myself for that. I'm not really sure if Santa has any actual friends. The elves always seemed more like employees, busy in the workshop, making toys. The reindeer, too, seemed more like co-workers and pals, just doing their job at pulling the sleigh. And sure, yeah, there's Mrs. Claus, but it always seemed like just the two of them up there in the North Pole. Yeah, I doubt that they had a very big social circle. It's hard to imagine Santa hosting a dinner party with anyone other than the elves and the reindeer, who, would probably still be talking shop the whole time. So, yeah, the idea of Santa having friends feels wrong. Oh, that's an easy one. My dad was a huge Trekkie and took me to my first Star Trek convention. It was in Philadelphia, and it was also the first time I ever traveled outside of the immediate area, at least that I can remember. And it was also the first time I've ever been in a place where I had a shared interest with everybody else. It was awesome. I loved seeing the people walking around, dressed up in their Starfleet uniforms. We also got to watch The Trouble with Tribbles in a room packed full of other Trekkies. And then, topping the night off, we got to see William Shatner take the stage and give a talk that was surprisingly funny. There was this whole floor dedicated to selling Star Trek merchandise, but we didn't buy much there. Dad said all the really good stuff was sold at the live auction. He ended up buying a prop phaser from the original series. I don't remember how much he paid for it, but I remember my mom wasn't too pleased about it when we told her about it. My friends once talked me into going to Houston with them to see Taylor Swift. It was my first concert ever. I love music, but for some reason I never thought about going to a concert before. Maybe I just didn't realize what I was missing. The whole experience was amazing. The energy in the arena, the lights, the sound. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced. It was an incredible show. I am so glad they convinced me to go. I love her. I was in line waiting to see Ready Player One when I spotted a coworker, Scott, waiting in line with his girlfriend. I never really talked to him much before that, and we started chatting, and it turned out he was just as nerdy as I am. They're now my two closest friends. Scott's got a ton of friends. I mean, seriously, most of my friends are just really Scott's friends. We all hang out together, but only when Scott's around. Actually, it kind of gets almost awkward when I'm with them and Scott's not there. If I'm being real, most of them are kind of jerks. That's probably why Scott's so good at making friends. He's just way less picky than me.